I think you can.
This call is now being recorded.
Yes. Yeah, you can start introducing.
Not Buddha, sir?
No, I will give the paper.
Okay. ma'am.
Good afternoon, all of you. Now we have the third session from Shubha, Dr. Shubha Avinash. Dr. Prasad, start for recording.
Agile.
So now the third session is on real-time flood warning system in Bangalore city by Dr. Shubha Avinash, and she has obtained the civil degree in civil engineering from Adi Chunchanagiri Institute of Technology, Chikmagalur, and she served as an building planner, structural designer, and interior consultant. Obtained from MTech in Geoinformatics from Karnataka State Remote Sensing Application Center, and PhD in Urban Hydrology from Geetham Deemed University, Visakhapatnam. She served as a project scientist in Karnataka State Remote Sensing Center, and she worked exclusively on National Urban Information System under NRSC project, large-scale mapping of towns under town planning department using aerial photography. And she also worked as an faculty and also taught the hydrology, hydraulics, water resource engineering, bridge design, and many more subjects. Currently, she is working as a scientific officer and head of hydrology division in Karnataka State Natural Disaster Monitoring Center since 2012. She is working intensively on urban hydrology, urban floods, flood forecasting and early warning system, impact and mitigation measures for urban floods in Bangalore city, in partnership with IAC under different projects which are funded by Integrated Technology Research Academic and DST, Government of India. She is involved in collaboration for National Supercomputing Mission, Urban Modeling Project with multi-organization involvement, which was led by CEDA Pune, and she is also a technical advisor for water resource and city-based storm water management and related work under smart city program. And she is doing a lot of work, and she has also published many papers. So now I request Dr. Shubha Avinash to deliver her address on real-time flood forecasting system in Bangalore city. Dr. Shubha, please.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thanks for the introduction. Good afternoon, everyone, for the participants. I believe I have seen the program schedule, and morning session was all from very dignitary professors from IISc, Professor Majumdar sir, Pradeep Majumdar sir, and even VP Singh sir, you would have heard. And this whole project on real-time flood warning and for Bangalore city, it is in collaboration with Indian Institute of Science in partnership with the team from Professor Majumdar sir and KSNDMC partnership. So again, this is a product of that urban flood model for Bangalore, demand-driven convergent water solution project, which is funded by Department of Science and Technology, Government of India. So, oh, this is not a PPT, okay. So basically, I mean, everybody, all of us know what is the urbanization scenario when we take worldwide or in particular continent, and also when we come to our country. In 2000, 37% of Asian population lived in cities, but which is projected to be more than 50% by 2025. We used to say 2025, now we are already in 2021. We are almost near to that, lot of more percentage of urbanization in the continent. And I don't want to read out everything. So mainly in Asia, it is estimated that at least 13 cities will be having natural hazards, which is connected with the population, which is more than 10 to 25 million range. So when we come to the urbanization scenario in India, according to the census and the what we have collected, it is in 1901 it was 11.4%, 2001 it is 28.53, and 2011 it is 31.16% of urbanization. And 2017 is the World Bank study, what is made, it says 34%. But recently, even UN survey has given the information that it has a study made, and it has projected in 2030, the country's population is expected to reside in urban areas will increase to 40.76. So why we are talking about urbanization is when we talk about the flood or any climate impact in an urban area, so it very much relates with the percentage of urbanization or the factor of urbanization. So when we come to Bangalore as a whole, it is a almost 800 square kilometer area of the greater Bangalore city area. We are situated at 900 meter from our mean sea level, and we have annual average rainfall which is projected from IMD with 100-year more data. It is said to be 890 millimeter, and we have 8 administrative zones and 198 wards. Those are all the smallest administrative unit in a city. It is not only for Bangalore, we are repeatedly facing a flood scenario, but in Karnataka, floods are witnessed in 2018-19 in Bangalore, and Belagavi every time when the Krishna Basin floods, and it is because of the in-situ rainfall or even from the water release from reservoirs from the upstream. This has flooded the city of Belgavi, Hubli, Dharwad, because it is a lot of rivers flow in that region, and even Davangere. I mean, I don't know if you all are, the participants are very well versed with the state of Karnataka. You will know Davangere is kind of a dry, towards the dry area, but the Davangere city also gets flooded. We have witnessed for continuous for 5 years. And also Bangalore. So Bengaluru being a capital city, we thought we have to study on this for Bangalore. So we have taken up on a pilot study for Bangalore city for urban flood management system. So when we look into the Bangalore city population from 1941 to 2011, because that is where till the census happened, so it has increased from 0.4 million to 8.4 million. Okay, and after that, every other year is a projected population, and from projected population of 2020 was 13.8 million. So it is a exponential growth of population in the city, and as the city grow, the population increased, even the urban area of the city also has increased. When we look into this urbanization, the images from the satellite image pictures, all the red patches are the built up area. So this has been extending from a small area within the city in the core city center to the complete, covering the complete greater Bangalore area. So it is 69 square kilometer area. It has grown till 800 square kilometer area now. So what are all the, it is the impact of this urbanization in the city is, as the picture says, it is like all the green cover is converted into built up land, and we are even facing the flood, and also other phase of the crisis is we are facing sometimes the water crisis scenario as well. So Bangalore city, it is with the urbanization is very important, definitely, because infrastructure development is also important for the complete development of any particular city. But unplanned urbanization is what, and rapid urbanization is what is causing the impact, the negative impact of all these scenarios. So we have already taken up developmental activities in the low-lying areas, or in the even the water wetlands, and even dried up water bodies also we have taken, and there are encroachment of the stormwater drains in the city, and as a public, even citizens will make it like throwing a solid waste or the garbage into the stormwater drain, which will choke the flow of the water in the stormwater drain, and also it decreases the capacity of the stormwater drain as it is. And all these impacts, it is causing urban floods in the city. And it is not only for Bangalore, we consider any part of the country, any big city in the country, or any other part of the world, the scenario is almost the same. And overall, when we have to talk hydrologically, we say because of urbanization, the amount of runoff coefficient, the runoff coefficient value has increased from 30 to 40% to 80 to 90%. That only means, like, if we get 100 millimeter of rainfall, before we used to get 30 millimeter or 40 millimeter as a surface flow. And now, because of urbanization, the impervious factor has increased. So there is no way for the filtration of water in the city area. So the runoff coefficient, like the 100 millimeter rainfall will feed almost 80 to 90 millimeter will feed as a surface runoff. And we don't have a capacity of stormwater drains to carry that particular rainfall runoff amount. So basically, it is a pictorial representation, as everyone of us know. Like, when there is a developmental activity, so amount of runoff, see here it is 10%, we have a lot of greens, and there is some built up, 20% runoff, 30% runoff, and 55% runoff. Or now what I said is like 80 to 90% of runoff. To basically differentiate between a riverine flood or an urban flood, so we all know this is a simple hydrograph, what it is represented by. And the peak, the upper peak is the post-developmental curve of hydrograph, and the lower one is the pre-development. We can consider pre-development thing as the riverine flood and post-development as a urban flood. So it only says, like, when we consider the time, the amount of peak it reaches in a riverine flood, and the time taken to reach that peak flow is very long, and the peak is very less. But in case of an urban flood scenario, the peak is more, the amount of runoff is more, and the amount of time taken to reach that peak is also less. That only means that we don't have any lag time, good lag time to address those issues of flooding, because we consider, we work on even riverine flooding in KSNDMC. We work for Krishna Basin riverine flood forecast system also, which is newly initiated work. So there, if I consider the upstream somewhere the reservoir release is there, I know what is the time of concentration to the downstream area. So we can calculate that. It depends on the length of the river and width of the river, how much volume it takes and all that. And we have some time to respond to that disaster. And we can have some preparedness prior, but in urban flood scenario, we don't have that particular time for reacting into the flooding scenario. So that is the basic difference. And when we consider Bangalore city, we have taken a 1 meter resolution digital image elevation model. We have taken it. It is produced using 1 meter resolution contour details, which is procured from different departments in the city, Bangalore Development Authority and Municipal Corporation. So the city basically divides into 3 major watersheds or the valleys. So we call it Hebbal Valley, Rishabhavati, Koramangala Valley. This north and northeast, southeast and northeast, Hebbal Valley and Koramangala Valley will contribute to South Pennar, and Rishabhavati Valley will contribute to Kaveri Basin. So this is whole network of drainage and the watershed in the city. And the beauty of the city as it is, the topographically is, the city center almost, this is the highest elevation in the city, so that it naturally divides the city into these 3 major watersheds. So what is the present scenario of the city now? I will just show it. So we have collected the information from Regional Remote Sensing Center, which is residing in Bangalore. So we have collected satellite images from 1965. I mean, everybody will be like very surprised to see this corona, because corona is now a virus. This is one of the satellite. So in 1965, that was the satellite name, and now CartoLIS satellite also we have procured from 2017 image. And as per the extraction of water bodies, we have seen there are so many missing water bodies from 1965 to 2017. So that was 487. Now it is reduced. I'm so sorry. So when we consider this BDA limit, so 500 lakes existed as per cadastral map, that is revenue map, and which is being reduced to 482 in 1965, and now 2011 satellite image shows 408 number of lakes. So almost like 86 lakes are, we are missing those water bodies. And also there are 10 new lakes even constructed in 1965, but we are missing the link to those water bodies. There was 1,647.5 kilometer of stormwater drain before, and now it is 1,295. But when we take within the city, it is 845 kilometer of stormwater drains is present within the city limit, that is BBMP limit in Bangalore. So there are a lot of missing water bodies, and even the number of 408 water body, even it is present now, but the area has reduced. I will just show you the inventory of that lake mapping. So this is 1965. You can see the Bellanduru Lake, and this Bellanduru Lake now, it is the area is the water spread area has reduced. You can see there is one small lake here. It is called Chellagatta Lake. So this particularly, it is Koramangala Chellagatta Valley. It is now converted into a golf course. And now you can see there are all these small water bodies are converted into, all developmental activities has happened, and a lot of buildings has come up there. So this is the land use change from previous to now present in Bangalore city. So we have so many other lakes. I don't want to go by name. Just look into the picture and you can see there was a lake here, and it is being converted into some layout here. And here, particular this lake, the area, water spread area has reduced a lot. So it is not only complete conversion, but even the area of the water spread has reduced in many part of the city. So this is one of floods and pollution and reduction in recharge due to urbanization, how it happens, because it is the park area. And again here, there is a lot of change in the water spread area, and depending on that, even the water recharge will also be reduced whenever there is a event, rainfall event. So this is missing water bodies, in particular KC Valley, that is Koramangala Chalagar, because this is a bigger valley in Bangalore, and the lot of flood vulnerable areas and flooding scenario happens, events happen in this particular KC Valley. So that's why we have done one paper on this land use change detection, how the land use pattern has impacted on urban flood scenario events in Bangalore city. So this is how you can see. So all these red dots, what you are seeing are the missing water bodies, and you can see there are even shrinking of these water bodies in the particular watershed. So discussing about all these, we just listed down what are the reasons why we get flood, but what is the action to be taken to tackle these floods? And also, I mean, we say it as two faces of a single coin, flood in one scenario and water crisis in other scenario. So there are a lot of non-structural measures and structural measures. So we concentrate more on this non-structural measures as part of this UFM project, when we have, that was the main objective, in fact. So we did a lot of sensor systems for rainfall measurement, and water level sensors also we have put installed over stormwater drainages for to get the flow every given tuned interval. And there are, everybody knows about a lot of various sustainable drainage measurements as a structural measures for flood mitigation as such. So this, I just want to just, brief that it is the major objective of this particular urban flood project. So we had the thought of developing a sensor network system, as I said, for measurement of rainfall, and using particular hydrological model to simulate the rainfall and runoff, and see how we can get to know the different vulnerable areas in the city. And with the real-time rainfall forecast and real-time rainfall measurement, how this flood can be forecasted and early warning can be disseminated, and also looking at as a mitigation measures to look into the rechargeable zones in the city, and give some mitigation action plan for the urban flood scenario. That was the major objectives of this particular project. And we have different ingredients as damage models. I mean, what is the impact of this urban floods in the city, and taking up the drainage network and sensor, and land use land curve model, how different land use behaves for different rainfall scenario. Elevation model, real-time forecasted rainfall, and climate model. So all these are the basic approach, integrated approach for urban flood management. So we have used exclusive data sets for developing a hydrological model. So basic input is the terrain detail, that is the digital elevation model, and we collected the data of contour details for 1 meter resolution from Bangalore Development Authority, and we developed our own digital elevation model for that, and we used land use land cover map, which is again KSNDMC was very closely working with Bangalore Development Authority for Bangalore 2031 master plan, there wherein as a hydrology division we worked on watershed management and watershed analysis for the Bangalore city, and we gave it to BDA, and even for classification of this stormwater drain as drainages as primary, secondary, and how it behaves and all that. So in that process, we collected this land cover, very good land use land cover details from water bodies and drainage network using a GIS information system. We did a watershed delineation and all that. And apart from that, the major important data set will be carrying capacity of the stormwater drain. That is the geometry of the stormwater drain. So we got it from Municipal Corporation, BBMP. It is total station surveyed, and that is a very good data set. And we need historical events and historical rainfall. So because KSNDMC started working on this only from 2013, but we have installed a good number of rain gauges from 2009 as well, but that is not a historical data. But so we collected a lot of data from IMD and also from Department of Economics and Statistics for almost 101 years, and there are different locations, different phase-wise manner. We collected the data years, 50 years, so made a very good database of
Madam, it is breaking.
Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, now it's okay.
Okay. So we are getting the rainfall forecast from SAC Ahmedabad. SAC Ahmedabad is a Space Application Center, is a part of ISRO in Ahmedabad. They have a supercomputers, and we share our real-time ground truth information on weather, different parameters of weather like temperature, relative humidity, wind direction, wind speed, and cloudiness, everything to them. And their mathematical models will do analysis and share with us to KSNDM. And wind direction and even cloudiness they forecast, and it will be in every 12-hourly manner for next 3 days. So we get it on a daily basis for next 3 days. So it is a superimposing on everyday basis and improving on the forecast for not only for Bangalore but for the whole state as a whole. We get it. I'm so sorry. Because I'm operating on this PDF, it is a little going tough. So overview of this urban flood project is to set up a telemetric rain gauge network, then get the rainfall forecast, that is from SAC Ahmedabad, as I told, and we have high resolution elevation data, as I mentioned, the DEM. And we had planned for LIDAR survey, which didn't happen due to this COVID thing from last year. We could not fly any choppers to capture this LIDAR. And then urban flood model, a lot of hydrological model, different scenarios, and catchment details are we delineated using GIS platform, and we generate the flood forecast, and early warning is prepared and disseminated to all the line departments in the city, municipal corporation, fire and emergency, state disaster response team, BBMP different divisions, even the traffic police, transportation, and even the electric board to manage the power in the transmitter to avoid any impact of high thunderstorms or the high wind gale storms, or even the extreme rainfall events. So the flood response will be a system is a part of the administrative department. We generate the information and disseminate to them. And location based water utilization is also one of the we have done a lot of case studies on it, and I will share it with you all, and which can be used for agriculture or groundwater recharge or drinking purposes. And all these flood monitoring using sensors, that is we have our water level sensors, so we get the data from that and calibrate our urban flood forecast model on a event basis and a scenario basis. So this is the work of KSNDMC, wherein we have this high density sensor network to monitor rainfall, weather and water level in Bangalore city. So this particular first map, you can see each dot represents a telemetric rain gauge station, and it is a bucket type, tipping bucket type, and almost like it is 1 in 7 square kilometer area. We have followed the NDMA norms. NDMA norms on urban flood management, it says 1 in 1 square kilometer area is the ideal one, but it is very tough to find the locations. And or it says 1 in 4 square kilometer is also good enough. So we have, there are locations wherein we have 1 in 1 square kilometer, 1 in 4 square kilometer, but as a whole, when we consider, because you can see there is very wide distribution here, but it is an intense distribution here. Depending on the location, it is very tough thing to even select the location where you have to install your rain gauges. There are a lot of norms from WMO, the World Meteorological Organization, and even from IMD, and we have followed it. So we have 12 weather monitoring stations, which has temperature, relative humidity, wind direction, wind speed, and around like 2 or 3 sensors stations. We do have atmospheric pressure and solar radiation as well. For different applications we use them. And we, on this pilot project of UFM, we have installed 26 number of ultrasonic water level sensors in the major stormwater drains, and it is connected with more flood vulnerable locations in the city. And this 26 we are improving further under the project. We have extended, like strengthening of urban flood forecast system for Bangalore. We are it has been approved, and we are going to install 100 more this sensor, but it is not ultrasonic. We have updated our technology to radar water level sensors in Bangalore city in a by next monsoon or so. So just to have a simple analysis on what is the importance of this high density sensor network system, you can see the rainfall distribution accuracy with increasing number of rain gauge stations. So the first picture, the map, you can see the one rain gauge station. So I'm only representing, it is a representation of particular day of rainfall, that is in 2020 September 8th rainfall. Okay, so 2020 September 8th, I have considered only near Palace Grounds, that is center of the city, where IMD had still have a station and it has a data for 101 years. It is from 1901, in fact, 1901. So if I consider only at that station, and I have mapped for the whole city, so this is the rainfall. It is almost like 35 millimeter or so. And if I come to the next map, you can see there are 2 locations. I have a rain gauge station. I have a data of rain gauge station in 2. So because this is one of the one more location the IMD added in 1963. It is HAL Airport. So there is 2 different distribution in the rainfall. One is less than 50 and one is between 50 to 75. So I just pointed out 8, because we have 8 administrative zones. So when we take that 8 locations in each zone and map the distribution of rainfall, you can see for the same day, for the same day rainfall data I'm telling. So there is some heavy rainfall scenario here in the western part of the city, and there is some moderate rainfall distribution in this particular patch, and the light rainfall, very light rainfall. So that is the distribution. This is what you can see. The bigger map is the 100 rain gauge station data for that particular day, which actually gives the granularity of rainfall distribution within a city. So there is a very heavy rainfall in the city, and there is a heavy rainfall in the city, and this is the particular distribution. You can differentiate. So this is what the importance of having a high dense network of observation station in any city area, because we have such a varied rainfall in the city scenario. So the whole thing is importance of rainfall data. What I have understood, the KCNDMC works on the concept of measure to manage. It is very simple as it is. So it is like how much you have. If you know, then you know how to manage it. It is. I'll just give a simple example of, if you know how much you are earning, you can plan your day and month accordingly. So it is the same concept in watershed, or when it comes to the water. If you only can measure, then you can manage the whole resource. So this is the importance of rainfall data. So we require it on both on a range of spatial and temporal scale, because we know 24-hour rainfall, how much it is. And also we want to know what is the spread. So is it completely within the city, or which part of the city? Spatially, we want to know exactly where the rainfall happened, and temporally, not only 24, we want sub-hourly data. We want it for 1 hour, we want it for 15 minutes data. So it is for different applications, we will require that particular data. And real-time rainfall is required for flood forecasting, and also in case of a reservoir and hydropower scenario locations, we want it for the operation of those reservoirs and hydropower generation plants. And summaries of this storm rainfall event, it is an assessment of severity of event. As I said, it is for a weekly or a monthly rainfall, or even for a day rainfall. So it is on a time scale. It is all very important. And it is important, rainfall bulletins are important for agricultural and irrigation operations. And frequency, it is for high intensity. How intense the rainfall is, it depends on, because being a hydrologist, all of you will know. So it is not only the 24-hour rainfall, you can do some analysis, but in what intensity the rainfall came. It may not be like happening for whole 24, the whole day, but the whole cumulative rainfall would have come in 1 hour or 2 hours. So that matters a lot. So even watershed management, and you want to design, do some structural design for rainwater harvesting, you should know like what is the amount of water generated in that particular area, so that you will do a optimum design, not over designing or under designing the structure. So same in case of a groundwater, and also location specific flood early warning and flood mitigation measure can be taken with using this location specific rainfall data. And also drought declaration and mitigation, it's a other important factor. So this is our dissemination system, and complete from the data collections, how it works. So this is, we have more than 7,000 such sensors all over the Karnataka state, district wise and Hubli, and we have Gram Panchayat level also. So the data will be collected through this telemetric system, GPRS system, and through the internet. We have those SIM cards placed in each sensor. So that will be the data will be sent to our centralized server, and we do the analysis and report will be generated and disseminated via email to district heads or even the city municipal heads, and from CM office, chief secretary to the PDA or the Gram Panchayat level. We send all this information from data collection to data transmission, analysis, report generation and dissemination. We have done it is automized. So when we come to this Bangalore city scenario, how we went about it is like, first you should understand what is the flooding events. What are the flooding events? We have done a lot of analysis using a historical flood events. We collected it from archives from newspaper, media, even from municipal corporation itself, and even traffic police. They have given a lot of data on recurring flood happening in particular junction, and all that we collected, and also using this high resolution digital elevation model, as I said before. We have done something called as depression analysis, wherein it shows the low-lying areas, and we did all this, superimpose this location on that, and we have come up with flood vulnerable locations for Bangalore city. We have mapped in case NDMC, and 2016 we did, and it is 174 flood vulnerable locations was there, and every other event year after a year, we do revise this flood vulnerable location and update this complete process. And in 2018, we have we did 203 flood vulnerable locations in the city, and 2020 we did, it is 200 flood vulnerable locations in the city. So this is the map of 200 that flood vulnerable locations in the city. And so all these different diameter circle with different colors, you can see it only shows, we have even mapped the extent of flooding. So there are some locations which floods for 1 kilometer, which floods for 500 meter area, and which flood for like even less than 100 meter area. So it all depends again on the terrain information in the particular location. So these are all the steps involved in flood mapping. So we have to input the rainfall data and land use, and then we generate the hydrological model. And it is all of you, as you know, hydrological model output will be it is a unit hydrograph, and you have to convert that into the flood extent maps. And we have taken it to HECRAS, or there is one more called INPPIN. That is again, it's a knowledge sharing from IISc and the University of London. So there was some research fellow who did that, and he shared that particular INPPIN tool, so wherein we easily could do that flood extent map from the output from stormwater management model. So this is the flood forecast system. So we all know, so flood extent mapping is done, and for different rainfall event. And then the whole idea here is, apart from this, the flow chart. So we know the static data set is the surface and subsurface phenomenon, because yes, it changes, land use keep on changing, and all this surface phenomenon change, but it is not very drastic. We can update it as and when required using a recent updated satellite image, but dynamic data set always will be a hydrometeorological data, that is the rainfall forecast. So when we put that in the hydrological model and we get the flood extent map using, as I said, INPPIN or HECRAS. So what we have done is, like, there is a flood extent map for different rainfall scenario. It is a multiple scenario for different intensities. We have done a lot of permutation, combination, and done the rainfall extent map. So rainfall extent map is for 10 millimeter, there is some rainfall extent. So we have this flood vulnerable area, you superimpose on that and see what are all the flood vulnerable area which intersect with this flood extent map. Then we give that as a rainfall threshold which initiates the flooding. So that's how it's been done. And the percentage runoff excess from stormwater drainage capacity is also calculated, and flood indexing is followed according to the Ministry of Urban Development. they have given the flood indexing also. So minor flood, moderate flood, major and severe. So what are all the action to be taken for that? We have followed that flood indexing according to the Ministry of Urban Development. And flood forecast and early warning will be given to the municipal corporation and all the line department, as I said before, 8 hours in advance. So this is the estimating of flood inundation, as I said, for different intensities. This is a written period. It is in connection with IISc. We did like how much intensity of rainfall will cause, what is the impact of different intensities on her. This is one of the very small micro watershed in the south part of the watershed, that is KC Valley. So this particular slide, sir will show you after the complete presentation, once the complete presentation is done, because it is animated. So you will understand for different intensities what will be the flood extent and how we can fix the threshold in this. So after, so we generate this information, flood forecast information, early warning and all that, and dissemination. That is very important part of the whole process. So we have developed a mobile app in KSNDMC, which is called Bengaluru Megha Sandesha. So it is a mobile app which is available on Google Play Store for Android, and for iOS, that is for Apple phone holders. We are doing the testing part of it. So we released this app last year, June 6, 2020. And we have also developed a dynamic dashboard, which is called Varnamitra, that is www.varnamitra.karnataka.gov.in website, wherein you get all the information on static flood vulnerable area in the city. And so we have a dynamic web portal, web dashboard. So weather dashboard we have, flood dashboard we have, and this is water level sensor dashboard, because I said 26 water level sensors we have. It shows a dynamic hydrograph of the particular stormwater drain in that location, how the water is rising and what is the recession time, everything it shows. So we have developed that as well. And we have a exclusive WhatsApp group called Be Ready Bengaluru, which was very early in 2016 when we started disseminating, we did. And this is a new one after with this mobile app and weather dashboard release. We also released this BBMP DM, Disaster Management Core group. That is one of the WhatsApp group wherein BBMP commissioner and all the line department MDs will be there, and we share the information through that media, and they take it to the ground level engineers who will act accordingly for preparedness. And we also have this Varnamitra. We have 24/7 interactive help desk. Any public can give a call to this and get the information. And we have something called as SMS push notification real time when there is a rain. So we give it every day in the morning 9 o'clock for registered mobile numbers. So morning, what is the observed rainfall in past 24 hours? What will be the forecasted rainfall for past 24 hours? In location specific, we'll give it in this SMS. And also whenever there is a rain scenario, dynamically, rainfall is happening, if it crosses particular intensity, we have something called as HIRA, that is called high intensity rain alert. And HRA, that is heavy rain alert. So we have fixed for Bengaluru with all the studies we made, like we understood like 50 millimeter per hour. If it crosses that, it is a high intensity rain for Bengaluru scenario. So that only means that because we get all the information from all the sensors every 15 minutes. So 50 millimeter per hour is 12.5 millimeter in 15 minutes. If it crosses 12.5 millimeter in that 15 minutes, it goes as a HIRA alert. It only says to the officers and the people administrative stakeholders connected with this, they will know like if the same intensity continues for next 1 hour, what will be the impact and what is the thing that they have to plan and prepare. So they will know that. So this is, I will just show some screenshots of our Bengaluru Megha Sandesha mobile app. So this has live weather. So there are 3 tabs in the front. When you open the Bengaluru Mega Sandesha, there is a current location. It takes the current location. If I am in KSNDMC, it takes the KSNDMC location and it says the current weather, live weather, temperature, rainfall. So you see here rainfall. I had screenshotted sometime. I think it was some May event. So there was some. That was pre-monsoon. We had yesterday rainfall also, it shows. In that particular location, what was the yesterday's rainfall? 57.5. As of now, there is no rainfall. And what is the wind speed? We relative humidity, what is it? Direction. So if you are very good at understanding the climatological parameters, you know, relative humidity is 73. If it is going, relative humidity is like 90, 90 plus, 100 and all, you are expecting rain for sure. So there will be like, you can have your own forecast with all this live information as well. And Nowcast map, we have a Nowcast map. I will show you what is it. So before Nowcast map, we have this live rainfall and live inundation map and safe route. So live rainfall map, it goes to the, it shows the map of Bangalore city and it shows each location, by location, what is the amount of rainfall. You can just touch that particular cloud in different colors. You have this legend also, what is the range of different rainfall, if it is light, very light, heavy, moderate, very heavy, all that it shows. And it shows by location name and the zone, because we have 8 zones, which zone is having particular location having what is the rainfall. And the same live flood map, it shows for that particular rainfall, what is the inundation. Yes, there is a severe inundation happened in different locations. And we have connected with this Google search, Google Map search, which is called Safe Route. You can, you can put your current location and you can mention the destination location and see all along your, the way of your travel. So where all it is raining, is there any inundation all along that route? So you can take, we are not giving any decision here. It is only the information, and the person or the citizens public who uses it, they can have their own decision if they want to, if it is all the way it is inundated or it is raining, if they want to even avoid traveling in that area. If it is emergency, do they want to use a 2-wheeler or they want to take a 4-wheeler, and how better you can be prepared to face that whole scenario will be shown. And Nowcast map, as I said, not only the rainfall, rain gauges, weather sensors and water level sensors, we also have lightning sensors, something called as, which has a capacity of, we will get the forecasted, than forecast, it is only called Nowcast because we'll have a very short lead time in that information. We get 30 to 45 minutes in advance the lightning information. So particular location, if it is vulnerable for lightning strikes. So if you can see this, it shows on the, so what happens is we have another app called Sidilu. But in Bengaluru Mega Sandesha, for the people of Bangalore city, we have, what I have done is I have clubbed this Sidilu with Bengaluru Mega Sandesha with the weather and lightning, thunderstorm and real-time storm moments in a single app. So it only shows like lightning, if it is there, it shows the location, by location information, this particular location is going to get a lightning. And we have 3 concentric circles. First is the center. It is a 1 kilometer area. 1 kilometer concentric circle, that is in red color, that is the danger. That particular location is going to get the strike. So if you are traveling from the outer circle to inner circle, you can avoid for next 1 hour. Or there are so many things. We have an app, what are the do's and don'ts you have to do during this particular extreme events of rainfall, flooding and lightning also. Because it will be very useful for Bangalore city people, because generally if they are driving, it is a tendency to listen to a FM because radio signals are more vulnerable for attracting the lightning strike, so it can be switched off. And if you are going traveling, and or if you are walking next to a footpath, there are a lot many transmitters, no electric, this one, so you can avoid going near to that, or any no stagnant water. Or even if at home, if you are in a kitchen washing vessels or doing something, you can avoid that as well, because it is not only we won't give the information not only through the app. So whoever has registered with us, this goes as an SMS. This is more used for farmers in the agricultural field, because we have seen a lot of pre-monsoon activity, lightning deaths, wherein we give the information through our Varnamitra to the farmers, and a lot of death can be avoided. And also we have forecast weather. As I said, we are connected with SAC Ahmedabad for next 12 early manner. All that on a location specific. For the next 3 days, we give this forecast information. And also we have this about tab. So we have what is it the app is all about in a short summary, and safety tips, as I said, do's and don'ts, and emergency. In this emergency, we have given the contact number of different BBMP, municipality control room numbers for an emergency contact, because if anybody are stuck in a flooding situation in the city, not everybody will know the this control room numbers. So this app will be of help to get that number and seek some help from the municipal corporation. This is the dynamic web portal, as I said. It is same kind of a replica of the mobile app what we have developed, but it gives little more information on even static information. So this is how the first page looks like. And this is the flood vulnerable area. We call it as FVA, flood vulnerable area. And these are all the static flood vulnerable area. As in when we update it, we keep it here, and it is zone wise. It can be, you can go to zone wise and see what are the locations which are vulnerable for flood. So these are all will be helping many players in the city. I will tell you how it is going to help. And this is, as I said, the water level dashboard. You can see this, the hydrograph. So increasing, and what will be the time. So what is the time it peaked up, and how it is residing and goes to the same normal level. All this will be like it is very interesting to see this dynamic hydrograph being a hydrologist. So so what we have done is, like, we have given different levels depending on the capacity of the stormwater drain. It is a drainage water level. This is the half one, and this is a full flooding condition, warning level, alert level. All that we have mentioned. When it goes to 50% or more, it goes to alert. 75% or more, it goes to warning, and it is danger level. That is a full flood condition. So this is how we have the water level sensor look like. So what we do is we install it in the fencing of the stormwater drain. It will be like almost parallel to the stormwater drain bed level. And so the sensor will be only here at almost the center. It is ultrasonic. Now we are, as I said, we are going to replace them by radar water level sensor. So there will be like, this also works with GPRS. This also has a solar panel, and a battery backup will anyway be there, and SIM will be inside, and this can be tweeted. So generally we are collecting information every 15 minutes as in other sensors, but when there is a extreme scenario, we can tweet it to get the water level information every 1 minute also. And this again, it goes as a SMS. This is KSNDMC drain water level alert. That particular time, that is the drain in this location and this ward, it is getting 75% full, and take proper action. So this will go to the stormwater drain department in BBMP, chief engineer and all the field level engineers, and they take a proper action on that. So as a part of capacity building, we have done a lot of training programs for BBMP officers and engineers in all the zones. So this was exclusively for the training was made for making them understand how to use this information of the weather dashboard and also the mobile app, how to use the mobile app also information. So that we gave for 2 days, and also we did a lot of capacity building activity, and we did a training program for even media, because media is the one particular group which share the information to the public. So how they have to actually read those messages, and because the information should not be panicking the citizens, it should give a proper information so that good action is taken and safety is maintained. So we did a lot of training program for even media also. So this is the real time how we give the forecast and flood forecast, how the action is taken. This is kind of case studies of this impact of this particular dissemination and project work. So this is Be Ready Bengaluru, as I said in WhatsApp group we share. This was very much in 2016. That was Arvind Jadhav sir was chief secretary then. Even chief secretaries will be in the WhatsApp group, so they will take action. So they will intubate even. They will have discussions within the BBMP commissioner, other line department heads. So what they have to take. So they say control room should be. You can read it out if it is visible. So keep the control room open, active all through the night. That is what is the information transferred to other higher officer. And so they are saying the forecast is coming true, heavy to very heavy rainfall in the eastern Mahadevpura zone, flooding and fallen trees. So these are all will be the information again back to us. It only motivates us and gives more confidence in our work, and it helps us validate and calibrate our models and improve our forecast system. So that, like that, I have just mentioned each year one of the important case studies. 2017, this was said to be the historical wettest day in Bangalore city, October 1st, 1971. That was 178.9 millimeter in 24 hours was said to be the highest event, but on that particular 14th October 2017, only 1 hour we received 95 millimeter of rainfall, but the cumulative rainfall was much more than that. So we give location specific information. See, flood alert is given, rainfall forecast is given, particular location, which location is going to get flooded, and we do a lot of analysis even post the event always. This is in 2019. Those two were like monsoon season, and this is pre-monsoon season in May. So we received 97.5 millimeter of rainfall, the maximum in particular location, and how it has impacted, and see the traffic jams and all that. All these has helped the administrator in a different way. I'll let you know. So this is one of the scenario in 2021 July last year. So this is impact of this June 5th, 2021 rainfall, and so you can see these are all the particular areas which got inundated, and where and all tree fall was there. We keenly look into the each and every impact analysis for every extreme events. So this is the comparison. So you all must be reading in a lot of research papers and even the media. Everyone knows city rainfall is increasing, and the amount of rainfall is increasing. But when it comes to the rainy days, number of rainy days, it is decreasing. So that is very much clearly observed here from 2018. So this is a complete southwest monsoon rainfall data cumulative from 1st June to 30th September. 123 was the monsoon rain, 119, 2019, 2020 it is 298, and 2021 we are still has to pass August and September, another 2 more months of monsoon, but it is already 262. But number of rainy days, you can see it is very gradually decreasing. It was 89 number of rainy days, 84, 83 for the monsoon season. So this very much clearly gives a lot of information, and this data set will be a like of gold mine, when for any researcher to work on. What we have done is, like, we have understood the occurrence of flood, and we have done some analysis on what are the critical months of flooding scenario in Bangalore city. So we saw September, we have average number of flood events are 5. This was 7 years considered, past 2014 to 2021, and June, July, August are 3 number of flooding events. So which are all the critical months? How the administrator has to understand this, and how the preparation has to happen, we will give the information to them. And which are all the critical zones? The KC Valley, so East, South, Bomanali and Mahadevapura zone, Rishabhavati Valley, what are the zones? And this is the recent development what we have seen. We have never seen any flooding scenario in this particular zone until 2020. Last year we did in June. So what are the actions? This particular information given is like there is a preparedness of manpower and equipment movement from different zone. So no vulnerable zone to high vulnerable zone, they will manage this. And drain desilting is happening as a mitigation measure from past 3-4 years. And control rooms they open, and all the line departments who are into the disaster response and rehabilitation rescue, they will be in kept alert. And forecast has helped the administrators better plan the services in future flood scenario, because we have also done mapping of repeated flood vulnerable areas, like for past from 2014 to 21, which are all the particular location which keeps getting repeated floods. And there are so many vulnerable areas which are already been attempted, and there are new vulnerable area which are created depending on the development, because we have seen before there are no peripheral areas, outskirts of Bangalore were not flooding, but nowadays we have seen that also is getting flood scenarios because of a lot of developments. And traffic management will be there, because we have involved traffic police department. And power grid management, as I said, this is very much important, because when we know particular wind speed, so if it crosses that, what will be the impact? So that will be communicated with the department, and they handle the manage the grid, power in the grid, so that there are no short circuit and deaths due to this particular scenario. And the important and very interesting use of this whole information is, we are getting a lot of builders and developers connecting, and they are asking if they want to develop any new area. So they take the information from KSNDMC, so they share the property area, and with lat long, they ask if this particular area is flood vulnerable. If yes, then they will have their own other option. Other than that, if they don't have any option, they will even take the data of rainfall data of past 10 years, and they will analyze, and they will plan for rainwater harvesting structures in that area to avoid flooding. So these are all very interesting and very useful information, impact of this particular whole study and information what we have generated at KSNDMC. And lake rejuvenation and reconstruction is also very very good going in BBMP area now. So you can see few developments. This is rejuvenation of particular lake before and after rejuvenation. So it only increases the good water storage, and it improves the groundwater as well, and also it avoids flooding. So we call it as a flood as a resource. It is a single solution for two problems. So this is one more lake. So we have seen the retaining wall construction all along the drain. This is the drain. So there are a lot many like this. I'll just move on. Because if it is for only Bangalore city, people will appreciate the particular location. Otherwise, you can only look into the good developments, what has happened because of this whole study. And this is one of the very important work we have done. It is called Waterway Project. We have a waterway project in Kurumangala Chillagatta Valley for almost 11.2 kilometers of the stormwater drain length from upstream to downstream. So what we have done is we have done a very exclusive hydrological analysis of this stormwater drain. From the upstream to the downstream, where they want to do it as a waterway project. So we submitted it to government, and in fact, IAC wanted KSNDMC to involve in this and do all this work. I thank to Professor Pradeep Majumdar sir, and he initiated the work and handed it over to KSNDMC. He said, "You do it, and this will be a very great." Impact for this developmental activity. This is one of the crown on the head kind of a project for Government of Karnataka. We have done an exclusive technical analysis on this, which particular location under bridge, that culvert level where it floods, or where exactly the junction and overflooding happens. We have analyzed everything. We have done a very exclusive micro watershed level analysis. I'm sorry, I missed a particular slide, I believe. I'll just go back. Yes, this is very important. So this is micro watershed runoff coefficient data. This is very small. So if we consider from upstream to downstream, this is 11.2 kilometer length of the drain. So you can see we have done a very detailed watershed analysis. So this particular watershed has a coefficient of 0.56. And this is runoff coefficient 0.91 and 0.73, like this. So we know each one, and in this particular area, it covers almost 12 rain gauge stations, and each rain gauge, which particular drain segment it contributes to, and so the exact volume of water which is generated at each node. And understanding this, and we have done an exclusive study and technical report on this. And that project has been inaugurated by our ex-Chief Minister Yediyurappa ji, and now the work is going on, and we are looking forward for the completion of that project and how does it look. And with all this study and understanding, experience, and all this, we have initiated a lot of other projects, as I said, strengthening of the flood forecast system for Bangalore city. And we have been working for other 3 smart cities, Belgavi, Hubli Dharwad, and Mangalore, to replicate the same in those areas. Anyway, the Mangalore city, we have to consider a different hydrological parameter of coastal, impact also, the tidal thing and all that. And the Davangere smart city also, it is on a different, they approached us and they wanted this particular work to be done for them, and we are into all this. Apart from this, I'm sure Professor in the morning session would have shared with you flood as a resource, how we have to use. This is one of the thing, testing of porous pavement concrete. So for improving the groundwater and decreasing the surface flow, and it is kind of what we call it as a funnel and tunnel. So you collect the water and store it underground and use it later, and just avoid that flooding scenario in that particular time. There are many pros and cons in this, and we have to look into it though. But we have done one field implementation in the KSNDMC campus as well. I don't know. Oh yeah, this is. I'll just go back, and I will share this video with you all at the end of this session. So this is how it looks. We have done 2 by 3, 2 meter by 3 meter area. One is porous concrete, what we have casted in the field, And one is porous pavement, that is pavers, normal pavers you can see in the footpath that we have put in one particular block, and other block is porous concrete. And how exactly it behaves, what is the amount of infiltration and the frequency of infiltration, and how much water it exactly takes, and all that we have done the work, and all thanks to IAC team and structural team at IAC also. Professor got us linked with. Apart from all this, a very interesting thing is like also urban climate observation. So we all know what is the pre-monsoon seasonal rainfall, monsoon and northeast monsoon and monthly wise rainfall distribution in the city. But with this intense, dense network of rainfall measurement gauges, what we have seen is like this is what the annual mean varies. In the beginning, I said when I was giving the introduction of the Bangalore city, 890 millimeter rainfall is annual, but it is 825 to 1254 millimeter rainfall. That is the variation, but definitely when you average it, it comes to 890 or 930 millimeter. And different monsoon season, what is the rainfall, normal rainfall. So this is very interesting though. 2017 we have seen is the north part of Bangalore, where the KSNDMC there, we received 8 millimeter of rainfall, and south we had 182 millimeter of rainfall on the same day. So 15th August 2017, we all woke up to see a inundated Bangalore, and so this is the variability of daily rainfall in the city. So this is, as I said, 182 millimeter was historical one-day rainfall in Bangalore city. We we stroke it off, and we had to take one more particular number as the historical maximum rainfall, highest rainfall in Bangalore city. When we received in 2020, June 25th, we received 185.5 millimeter in Kengeri. So that is 24 hours. So this was the time when Rishabhavati Valley, the drain, the major drain retaining wall collapsed, and but not any casualties though. But we had that. This was historical rainfall. We could not do anything though. So these are all different. Comparison of normal, actual, and percentage departure. For 2020 monsoon season, we did see normal 80, and we always seen highest range. But in August, it was a deficit kind of. 133 one was normal. We received only 84. So this is how we do statistical analysis of rainfall on a every year and seasonal basis. So apart from this, we through IAC and Purdue University, we connected, and with all this database, we started analyzing on extreme precipitation event analysis, and also storm movements. We considered like 60-kilometer buffer area around the city, and how this storm movement is there, where exactly. I mean, it is just to understand why only south part of Bangalore gets more rainfall, and hourly mapping of this particular rainfall we did. And for anyone in the who is participating in this particular program today, if you are interested in your research to understand what is the impact of land use, land cover, and all that in this extreme rainfall scenarios, can do that particular work. Because what we have seen, like my understanding of South Bangalore raining, there is like something called as we have Bannerghatta National Park, which is more greener, and also we have extremely high-rise IT parks there. And it is kind of, we always get kind of a cloud burst, flash flood scenario in that particular area, because what I feel is it is the effect of urban retail land, because we all have this glassy buildings, and which reflects the temperature, and it forms as a urban heat island in that particular area, and it attracts the moisture, and we get more rainfall pouring in that particular region. So it is more on the climatological part. I am not an expert though, but we have done a very good paper on that. So this is not only rainfall, there is a temperature variation within the city for 2 to 3 degree. That is 2 to 3 degree within 20 kilometer radius is will have a lot of impact. Apart from this, we have done a small case study on sustainable water resource management for the city. This is as per the Bengaluru Water Supply Board. So we need almost 20 to 22 TMC of water for water supply. And when we looked into a particular watershed, and we did some analysis on if we do a rooftop rainwater harvesting, and if we collect the rainfall water in the surrounding water bodies with their capacities, then what will be the impact? That is what we got as non-structural mitigation measure for flood in the city, flood as a resource. So what we have seen is 37% of the runoff can be used as a sustainable water resource. So, and also like if we consider 900 millimeter of annual rainfall for Bangalore city, and even if 75% of it is harvested, we can generate 20 TMC of water. And if we follow dual water supply system, and we use treated water for our garden car washing, because we have so many vehicles in Bangalore city, definitely it will again generate 10 TMC of water. So definitely whenever there is some discussion which goes on, like Bangalore will run out of water, something like Cape Town or something, then what we always think is like even now Bangalore is green with water. We have a green future. So definitely we have not run out of water. We have to only see what are the sustainable measures to harvest those water. So there are a lot of collaborative work to happen. It is not a one-man army show, because we have so many people and so many departments connected in framework of urban flood management, from state disaster management authority, district disaster management, local bodies, municipal corporation, all those. And when it comes to technical studies, it is ward level vulnerable assessment and estimations, hazard risk zonation and mapping, restriction of building activities in vicinity. So we have to get some building bylaws. I mean, the policies has to come into picture, and response players are there, which I said, NDRF, SDRF, local emergency, fire and emergency, volunteers and all that. And capacity building, there are so many again. And I feel what I'm sharing with you, the information and my experience is also part of a capacity building. So we have to connect with a lot of academicians and experts, research scientists, administrative level, and even the public to show that what is the impact of this and how we can actually collaboratively work towards mitigating this urban flood. So this is my last slide to share. I always say it is our earth and our water. We have to save water. Thank you so much. I wanted to share with you something else, right? I'll just, sir?
Slides.
Sir, can you share that particular slide? I will just stop sharing. I will stop sharing this.
Yeah.
Did it go? Am I still sharing that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just uncheck.
I'm not getting that.
Stop sharing.
Yeah, I think it's okay.
It's okay. Okay.
Is it visible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Is
Sir,
it
you can
visible?
put it on. You can put it on the slideshow
Yeah.
mode, and keep entering. It only shows different intensity, how the flood extent will. This is for small sub-watershed in south part of Bangalore.
Is it changing?
Should not it. I can see the PPT, but not in the presentation mode. It takes little time, sir. No. Sir, you can't do the slideshow?
No, it is not. Yeah, it's not taking.
It's not taking.
Some issue.
Some issue. Okay.
By the time anybody wants to.
Okay. Thank you so much. I think it was useful, the experience sharing.
Yeah,
I think if any participants want to interact, let them have one or two questions.
Sure, sure, ma'am. Any doubts or interaction is welcome.
R.K. Prasad? Dr. R.K. Prasad, you want to ask? Mona Kakkar?
Yes, ma'am, I had a question. You mentioned the threshold rainfall. So actually, how do you define the threshold rainfall in terms of intensity? Is it with respect to the depressions that get filled, or no? If yes, then that will be different for different areas depending on the terrain.
Definitely, definitely. You're right. It is a location specific. That's why I said it is location specific. Different scenario rainfall we worked out, and accordingly we fix the threshold. If it is like, ma'am, you have a flood extent for 10 millimeter of rainfall, or you say 30 millimeter of rainfall, and you over impose this flood vulnerable area, and you see that is intersected, and you know that is the initial amount of rainfall where it starts, a flood starts getting in that particular location. So that is the initial threshold.
Okay.
It is not the maximum threshold. So that will be when it is initial threshold, it is a minor flooding. So depending on the depth increasing and increasing the rainfall, so we will we will categorize it under moderate flooding, major flooding, and severe flooding.
So, ma'am, the drain, when it starts overflowing through that depression or a drain, or what? I mean, exactly is the point where you call it to be a threshold.
No, it's not overflowing. It's just inundation starts.
Okay, yeah, fine. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any more questions? I think there is.
Anybody else? Anybody else want to have question? Yeah, Pankaj Kumar. Pankaj Kumar, please unmute you and you can have direct question, please.
Hello. Madam, I have a question. Since the urban system is highly dynamic in nature, how the LULC part is taken care of? How frequently is it updated in the model of system?
Yes, that's what I said. It is definitely it is changing, but it is not drastic.
Yeah, obviously.
Land use land cover is not drastic. So we initially before monsoon season will update it,
Mm-hmm.
and we'll take different pervious. We only see land use land cover in a hydrological concept only as perviousness and imperviousness.
Imperviousness. Okay.
Yes. So we categorize that percentage of perviousness, imperviousness, and then we feed into the hydrological model. And every time, whenever we get, sometimes we don't get the updated data from satellite image. At that time, we just use even Google engine
Okay.
to take the LULC and see if there is any change. If there is any major change, we do that. Otherwise, also we know as a part of government connected system, we know where are all the developments, and we can just impose on it and do it. So it is not drastic, but for a season, it is static.
Obviously,
do.
minute changes like infrastructure development.
Yes.
One more question, Madam, I am having.
Yes.
How the accuracy, is there any provision for accuracy assessment of the model?
Yes, accuracy assessment in the beginning was only with the events. Later, after we started implementing these water level sensors, we get because we know at that particular section or the node what is the water level as per the simulation and what is the exact water level in the which is as measured. Yes, we do that validating. I have not put that in the slide, but that is there as a part of validation and calibration of the model.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Madam, for wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mona
Thank you so much.
Kakkar. Mona Kakkar.
Yeah, ma'am, one more question, please. I mean, initially you began that around 100 stations, rain gauge stations, which measured the data sets. So then you said 100 more were added, which were radar based. So can you explain why they were required? And earlier it was a tipping bucket, now they're radar based. So what was the need to move towards?
Yeah, ma'am.
Okay.
You got confused there. So
Acha,
telemetric rainfall gauges are still the same. Radar level sensor. I meant.
Ma'am, your voice is not there. Yeah.
You can hear me?
Now I can. Yeah.
Okay. So 100 numbers are radar telemetric rain gauge stations. They still remain the same. What I 100 more is radar water level sensors, which are now 26 radar ultrasonic water level sensors. We are only changing the water level sensor instrument, not the rain gauge.
Thank you, Dr. Shubha.
Thank you, ma'am.
And
Can
anybody? Yes,
I
please.
get your mail ID for further doubts about
already-
It is given in that PDF file which I sent it yesterday.
Yes.
Please check.
Everything is available.
All the details are available.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
I will check.
Ma'am, I have one more question.
Sir, other
Yeah,
check it.
Ma'am, yes. Yes, ma'am. Okay, KSN MDC is part of any cloud seeding projects, ma'am, in Karnataka?
So we are helping the government of Karnataka for cloud seeding in the sense we have put, see for cloud seeding we need that radar, Doppler radars. So for observing the very realistic rainfall in the cloud system. So we connect with them and we do the analysis part, impact of that cloud seeding. We are connected with Government of Karnataka, not as a first party for cloud seeding project though, but for validation, yes, we are connected with Government of Karnataka for cloud seeding project validation.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Shubho.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
And nice interaction and nice, very informative. Your lecture was very informative and really enjoyed.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much.
We have a big clap.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Giving your valuable time. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Thanks to all of you.
Participants will meet tomorrow by 8:45.
So please join tomorrow by 8:45. And tomorrow there will be, as already mentioned, that schedule. So there will be 3 lectures, and first lecture is by Professor N.K. Goyal, Senior Professor of Hydrology, Department of Hydrology, IIT, Indian Institute of Technology, Roorkee. And second and third session will be Dr. S.M. Kuri. He is from IIT Chennai, IIT Madras, Chennai. And he will be talking about, I think, what Dr. Shubha and Professor Mazumdar explained, and they are working on Chennai floods. Okay? So at the moment they are working, and that they will highlight in one of the lecture, and other lecture will be on other topic. So with this, thank you all for sparing your valuable time in participating in this program. So thanks to all the participants. Let's meet tomorrow, and some of the things I already shared on WhatsApp. And whatever that lecture notes or PDF notes or whatever that is shared by experts, that will be put up or sent by mail to you. And also video recording will be shared once it will be uploaded on the AICTE website. This is for your information. Okay, thank you all. Yes, please, Ajit. Ajit Nirmale, please unmute yourself and speak. Ajit Nirmale, you have raised your hands. Any issues, please? Mohit Kumar ji, just now I can't share all the recordings of all the sessions. That will be given on the last day. That will be uploaded on AICTE website. With your login ID, you can download it. Okay.
Okay, sir.
After processing all the session-wise videos in proper manner, they will be uploaded on the website of Atal, and you need to download after logging in on that Atal. So because without uploading, they won't give you certificates, they won't give me certificates, they won't release money also. Okay, that is mandatory on our part. Yes, we are recording. We can't give you daily because it takes a day or it takes some time, because that needs to be edited and that needs to be properly managed. So that's why it will be uploaded on the AICTE website.